Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman, hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. No doubt continues now, ladies and gentlemen. We've got an incredible guest with us today. His name is Ron Edwards. Ron Edwards is a well-known talk show host. He hosts the Ron Edwards American Experience. The RonEdwards.com is where you can learn more. He also produces an incredible short-form commentary, The Edwards Notebook. He breaks down all kinds of things related to politics, relating to news the networks refuse to use, as I like to call it. Ron Edwards also proudly serves as a board member and a chaplain with Grace Commission United, a worldwide chaplain ministry. So he's virtually a preacher, a broadcaster, a father, a husband, and now he's on Liberty RoundTable Live. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, and so happy to be here with you.
Now, I want to talk about your career a little bit because you've been in the media for like 3 decades, almost as long as me, right?
Just about. Yeah. It's believe it or not, it started, I was about 16 years of age in Cleveland, where I grew up. And my high school had a little radio station, a little small FM outlet. And I entered a contest at one of the local stations. And we got such a huge response that the station offered me a weekend position and basically doing some top of the hour announcing or whatever. But for a 16-year-old to start in a major market like that is pretty phenomenal. I didn't know it at the time. I just thought it was another part-time job, and I was just happy. And continued there until I left Cleveland and moved to New York for a while and did some studio work there, and came back to the Midwest after about 6 years and started back in radio. My station hired me back there, and then I ended up moving to Michigan because I was approached by 2 radio stations in the Detroit metro area to come there. And I
heard you went to Michigan because you wanted to hang out with Ted Nugent. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, he's the man. And so I thought I was going to be in Michigan for about a couple of years, and because I always wanted to get back to New York. I love New York, and I hate what's happening to the city now, but I always loved New York. But that didn't happen. Met my wife there and here in Michigan, and the rest is history. And we're both now trying to get out of Michigan with Governor Whitmer and all of that craziness going on. So
where do you want to head? You want to head to the Rocky Mountains for safety or what?
I love the Rocky Mountains. Our son lives out in the Rockies in Colorado, doing quite well. And
he's on the wrong side of the hill, but I get it. The only reason I say that is because Colorado's super liberal. It's out of control over there.
It is. My gosh. So, but I love it. I love the climate there. I love the altitude and the fresh air and all of that good stuff. So, yeah.
All right, there you have it. So you're an award-winning talk show host. You've done a radio show for quite some time. You currently do the Ron Edwards American Experience. If people want to learn more, theronedwards.com. You can check that out. He is syndicated by the network that I own, Loving Liberty or Liberty News Radio. And he's been doing a great job on the show Monday through Friday, 3 Eastern, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then it's available after that on archive, right?
Yes. And everywhere that podcasts are available, it's there. iHeart, etc.
All right. How'd you come up with the name, the Ron Edwards or the American Experience?
Actually, it was by suggestion of another talk show host used to be based out of Florida. They carried my commentary on their show, Captain's America Third Watch, overnight. And he suggested that. And so I just ran with it. And so, but with the Edwards Notebook commentary, that name came out because I was working at CBS Radio in Detroit, WWJ at the time. And there was a commentator, and his name was Charles Osgood. And some of the other.
By the way, I love the Osgood files.
Yeah, the Osgood file. And so some of the other stations that wanted to pick up my commentary said, Ron, we want to run you. Just go home and figure out a name for your commentary, ... So I went home. I'm thinking, oh, my God, what am I going to call this thing? And I was listening to the radio and Charles Osgood came on, the Osgood file. And I was prepared to start writing a bunch of names. And wait a minute, what about the Edwards Notebook? And I said, okay, we'll just go with that. And the rest is history. So, yeah. But that's how I came up with the name for the commentary, literally.
All right. Now, the interesting thing about your show and what you do, you have long form talk, which is the talk show.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Ron Edwards American Experience. Then you've got the short form commentaries that run really a lot of stations use it at the bottom of the hour. They play news and then they play your commentary and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference because when you talk long form, you're talking politics. It gets controversial. It gets, throw down time. The commentaries that you do, though, are more historical and more factual based, right?
Yeah, I'll get into
less commentary or less opinion, if you will.
Yeah, I get into history. Some of them are still opinion, but I get into a lot of history. I even do some about health, things of that nature. So I try to be, I guess, more variety oriented with the commentary because there's a lot of other things to be interested in, like your health and things of that nature and history. I mean, that's one of the things that we're missing in this country is history. You know what's going on in our government schools. I mean, lack of history is one of the reasons why we're in the boat we're in now. So,
yeah, we've got to be cognizant enough to never let them divorce us from our history and our heritage. We are Americans. We have a godly heritage. We have an American heritage. And if we lose that, we've lost the anchor, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because if you don't know where you've been, you're definitely not going to go where know where you're going. So, and that's all by design. You know that, Sam, that starting, I guess you could say, in earnest in the late 1950s to start winnowing each generation further and further away from true American history and replacing it with indoctrination and all the things that are being, pushed on students now in government schools throughout the country. And you see the results of it in our streets, in Congress. I mean, Jasmine Crockett is a perfect example of what can happen when you soil your education system and at the same time you extract morality out of your country. Without good morality and without true history, your country is on a road of destruction. And we better hurry up. You were talking about the education and also about congressional funding. And we've got to truly get education away from government. Big government is what messed it up. And you notice, Sam, that the big government messes everything up that it gets involved in, whether it's education, whether it's medicine.
Everything that they don't have delegated authority to be involved in ends up being a disaster. What you got to look at is the supreme law of the land, and you got to say, what is their delegation? What have we given them authorization, contractually speaking, to do? Mm-hmm. And if it's that, then you know what? By all means, all hands on deck, let's get it done. Yes. The problem is right now the president's doing half the things Congress is supposed to be doing. Congress is sitting at home twiddling their thumbs or twisting arms and playing games. And really, I blame the meltdown of the Trump administration really on Congress. Because what they should have been doing is codifying the things that Trump's trying to take the lead on. Is Trump taking a little bit too much action unto himself? Constitutionally speaking, yes, he is. At the same time, it's hard to blame him because Congress won't do anything. He's stuck. And so, how do you fix that? The answer is not to cross the lines of the checks and balances and violate those. Mm-hmm. The answer is to demand accountability. And what Mike Johnson could have been doing, that he hasn't, that he needs to do, he should have been passing single line item piecemeal legislation pieces. For example, the air traffic controllers. You could have just simply put a bill that said we're going to fund the air traffic controllers. Our transportation depends on it. Our moving goods and services, everything related to the economy relates to that. We're going to fund them right now. Here's a single bill. We're going to fund these people. You can make it 2 sentences. And then all you got to do is use that as I don't know what you want to call it, as a whip, if you will, to say, look at all these clowns that won't even support the air traffic controllers. They don't want you to go home for Thanksgiving. They don't want you to be able to receive your package in the mail. They don't want you to be able to, and we can go on and on. He should have been doing piecemeal pieces that could have moved the economic interests of the American people forward, while at the same time, up and down votes proving who's who. Where do you really stand and why? Is this partisan politics? Is this the deep state? Or is this you work for the American people discussions? And the best way I know to do that is for Mike Johnson to hammer home these issues one item at a time.
Well,
but what he did is he sat on his hands and pushed for a big, beautiful, bogus boondoggle that now no one has any idea what we even funded. We just know this. We funded the Biden plan for the last 10 months, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, and you're totally correct on that. Unfortunately, we cannot trust Mike Johnson. I haven't trusted him from day one. And I've said from when he was first installed as Speaker of the House, I knew that he was a bad egg. And
here I used to think MJ stood for Michael Jackson. Oh, boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hang tight. Got a quick pause. Myself and Mr. Ron Edwards, incredible talk host of the Ron Edwards American Experience. Check out his website, theronedwards.com. We've got a whole lot of news the networks refuse to use in seconds on Liberty Roundtable Live.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ron Edwards with me, well-known, incredible talk host in his own right, long-form talk radio, the Ron Edwards American Experience. We hope to turn that into a video show soon, too. Mr. Edwards also produces and posts his award-winning short-form radio commentary, The Edwards Notebook, kind of like the Osgood Files, a little bit like Paul Harvey's delivery, except that it's short and it's at the bottom of the hour. It's great, great stuff. Ron Edwards also is a board member, a chaplain. Okay, that's all about God, family, and country. I can tell you that right now. What does your wife think of all your political stuff, Ron? Is she all good with it?
She's all good. When I met her, one of the things I was thrilled about is that she was very conservative, and just like me, the first time we voted, although we didn't know each other, we had voted for President Reagan, and so we had, that made it easier to get to know her in other areas because, had she been a liberal, it wouldn't have gone any further, to be honest with you.
Now, let me ask you this: did you grow up in an affluent household?
Middle, just typical working class neighborhood. And my mom was a teacher. My dad was in the postal business. And then a couple of years before he died, he started getting into real estate. So just simple working folk. Yeah.
And were you conservative your whole life?
Yes, but I didn't know it.
All right.
I didn't find out that I was actually a conservative until I moved to Michigan. Got into a kind of a heated discussion with a gentleman who worked at one of the radio stations I worked at, WDET. And we were just talking about various subject matter. And all of a sudden he broke out and said, "You're one of those DAM conservatives." And I said, "What's that?" and blah, 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 blah. And so I said, I guess that's what I am. I'm that then. Okay. But
that's
yeah,
what America used to be. That's why he didn't even know the difference, because America used to be quite conservative in general. They took a lot of things for granted of God, family, and country.
It was just common sense.
People might have had different religious beliefs or whatever else, but they kind of understood that was I don't know if I dare use the word matrix, but that was kind of the framework that we all grew up under, right?
Absolutely. It was called common sense, common decency.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Imagine having some of that these days, All right. Tell me about your ministry work too, because you do a lot more than just a talk show host, right?
Yeah, well, GCU, wonderful, wonderful situation. We started out; it was just three of us. The founder, Bill Hodge, he approached myself and my wife with the idea, the concept, and it was literally the three of us approaching different groups, different churches, and organizations to join us in the vision to start a chaplaincy. And to make a long story short, we now have 800 chaplains around the world, in Kenya, throughout the United States, Great Britain. Our chancellor, in fact, is in Cornwall, England, and we do wonderful things around the world. We have an airplane ministry that's based out of Wisconsin, where we fly folks, emergency situations for operations or whatever.
Oh, you guys don't fly me around as a rock star? That's too bad.
There you go. Well, we'll think about it. But but yeah,
I'm just joking, because that seems to be the mantra of all government leaders. They seem to talk the good talk, and then they get elected, and pretty soon they're flying around, them and their buddies and their girlfriends and everything else, right?
They're just serving themselves, though. That's the difference.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's all about serving. Right now, we're constructing a school and a housing facility for students in Kenya, in a village in Kenya. This will be the first multi-story structure in the history of that part of the country, and
wow!
So it's just serving, and that's what it's all about. I used to be approached about coming into the ministry, and I just said. I said, I can't be one of those. I cannot be a minister. I don't have the stomach for it. I don't have the mentality, because I've seen so many situations with ministers that I said, it really turned me off. I said, I just can't be one of those. I'd rather be a servant.
I want to be true to my wife. I want to.
Yeah. I'm not into pornography.
And the problem with the preaching world too, you got to start out kind of small, and you got to talk like this, and then you got to start telling a story, and then you got to start raising your voice, then you got to start getting people getting excited, and you got to, right?
Yeah, you work them up.
Pretty soon it's all about a performance.
It's all about emotionalism and all that,
as opposed to a true delivery for God Almighty.
Yeah.
Now it's called the Great Commission
United.
GCU,
okay. Yeah.
It could be the Grace Commission United too, really, right?
It could have been, but I remember the Grace Commission. You bring that name up.
The poor Grace Commission ruined that term, didn't it?
Yeah, they did.
The Great Commission United, ladies and gentlemen. It's a worldwide chaplain ministry based in Michigan. How do people get a hold and learn more to help with some of that?
Just go to GCU.com. It's Great Commission United, our website, and you can see all of the board members. You can see our mission statement and all the information about us and what we're doing around the world. And there's, you can even make donations to help us out. Because we're doing a lot of great things. We are doing what we're commissioned to do as the people of followers of Yeshua, Jesus, and we're to serve. And that's what it's all about. And
all right, what's the actual domain?
Go Great Commission United. Let me pull it up myself. GCU.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because GCU.com is being sold. So
let's see. Great Commission United. And
GreatCommissionUnited.com.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I want people to be able to help. I want people to be able to participate. I want people to be able to get involved. What does your wife do? She's part of the commission as well?
She's part of it as well. And she also, what she does is she runs a prayer ministry, Zechariah 2:5 ministry. It's Monday through Friday. People from all over the world, believe it or not, they're all called in, and they pray for our nation, and they pray for situations around the world. 9 a.m. on Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And folks can call in And it's a wonderful situation. We pray for President Trump. We pray for Congress. We pray for situations around our nation, the economy, the farmers, you name it, various issues that are going on in the White House. We pray for. We do have folks that are located in certain areas, and they send us a lot of information to pray for. We pray for like crazy banshees about the situation in Nigeria, where the Christians are being slaughtered like ants over there.
And hasn't Donald Trump spoke up about this a little bit?
He spoke out about it and said they were going to get involved, but I don't think that he's done anything yet. One thing that I've been pushing for years, ever since, because we have friends that are in that situation, and I've always urged for arming the men over there, because the Muslims are armed all the time, particularly through Iran. And they're giving them, they have the guns, they have the machetes and everything. And at any given day, they just raid a village and snatch the girls and the women and rape them right there, or take them as hostages, and et cetera. 50 hostages recently escaped. They took 250, and 50 of them just escaped the other day. And so we're always in prayer about that situation. And so, and it's Monday through Friday, like I said, Zechariah 2:5, and comeministry.com. You can go there, and there's a huge website there, and you can join us. There's the information where you can join us there at comeministry.com. And join in the prayer. If you're a prayer warrior, if you believe in prayer, our nation needs it. And unfortunately, a lot of Christians, Sam, you may not believe this, but a lot of Christians, at least 1/3 of them, are totally against President Trump. They are totally against shutting the border. They have this false assessment of Jesus Christ being for open borders. And which leads me to the opinion that these people must not read their word. They don't read the Bible.
Well, Jesus said, render to Caesar's what is Caesar's. And so if countries have borders, you got to render to that country that has a border, right?
But the Lord talks about borders. Even heaven has a border. I mean, he believes in the Lord talks about borders and protecting your nation and standing against those who want to overthrow your country. So, and to have these liberal bishops, just the other day, they came out, a huge coalition of bishops came out against joining the Pope, firing off lip service against our sovereignty, basically our right to protect our border, which totally goes against the word of God.
It's important for people to understand that God does have borders.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone can get into heaven, ladies and gentlemen. It's that simple, right?
Yeah. A lot of people that think they're going into heaven will be shocked when they, in their judgment day. And I'm not saying that. That's in the Word of God. And he'll say up to a lot of people, be gone. I knew you not, even though they'll say, I did this for you. I said this and blah, blah, blah. But you weren't serving me. Be gone. And, I pray every day that I'm not in that, because no one can take their being saved for granted. All
right, ladies and gentlemen, just to make sure you know, it's GCUacademy.com.
Yes.
All right, GCUacademy.com if you want to learn more about his incredible ministry. When we get back, I want to break into some hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use with Ron. He's a very savvy commentator, to say the least. He breaks it down very clearly, very succinctly, in productive, meaningful ways. I guess the Pentagon's warning of a court-martial for Senator Mark Kelly. We'll talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very interesting twist, to say the least. What did he do wrong? Hang tight. We'll tell you all about it. Ron Edwards with me. This is Liberty Roundtable Live.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Attorney General Bondi is vowing to appeal a judge's ruling dismissing criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James.
A federal judge concluded that the prosecutor who brought the charges at President Trump's urging was illegally appointed by the Justice Department. It's a sharp rebuke of the Trump administration's efforts to target the president's political opponents. The judge's order deals exclusively with the appointment of Lindsay Halligan as U.S. Attorney. She was a former White House aide with no prior prosecutorial experience and was tapped to lead one of DOJ's most elite offices. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The White House is lashing out at those Democratic lawmakers who produced a video urging military service members to disobey presidential orders.
You can't have a functioning military if there's disorder and chaos within the ranks, and that's what these Democrat members were encouraging. It's very clear.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. The Pentagon is investigating Senator Mark Kelly's role in the video. Kelly is a retired Navy captain who could face court-martial proceedings. In the video, the lawmakers speak of illegal presidential orders, but when pressed on the issue, none could identify any such orders. White House says that's because there were no illegal orders. Sales at retailers, restaurants up a bit in September. Resilient consumers moderated their spending after splurging over the summer. Commerce Department says sales rose 0.2% last month from August. Russia launched a massive drone and missile strike on Ukraine's capital, Kiev, overnight. At least a half dozen people were killed. A Ukrainian attack in southern Russia left 3 people dead there. On Wall Street, stocks are mixed. The Dow is up about 307 points, while the Nasdaq is 71 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
In sports, it's the dream team. And if your car is out of warranty, there's a team for that as well. You, the driver, your mechanic, and Endurance to pay for the repair bills. I'm Danica Patrick. In the past 5 years, auto repair costs have gone up over 36%. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all. With an Endurance auto protection plan, no matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done by the certified mechanic of your choice. Plans cover 24/7 towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, and lockout services. Act now and get the benefits of our Elite Plan, a $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again. So call now for your free quote.
Call 800-454-4558. That's 800-454-4558. 800-454-4558.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began, Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
I just want to call him the Ron Edwards, because then you'll know his website. theronedwards.com, the website for incredible talk show host Ron Edwards. Does the American Experience talk show, notebook commentary, and more. We're talking about this strange situation, folks. The Pentagon has opened a formal review into Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. He appeared in a video urging U.S. service members to, quote, refuse what he calls illegal orders. And that's what the debate is. He says they're illegal. Government says they're legal. Gloria Howard is who brought this news headline to me. There's several different people talking about it. I've seen a lot on it. The Department of War has confirmed the inquiry, saying that investigators will determine whether Kelly, a retired Navy captain, violated rules governing what they call conduct of retired military. I don't understand that exactly. Of course, I'm not in the military. But, do you have your right to free speech? Do you have your right to your beliefs? Do you have, big questions going on here. What do you say, Ron?
You do have the right to free speech, in my humble opinion. And, but, it's funny. One of the terrible six, Slotkin, she admitted that the president has not said anything illegal, has not encouraged any illegal activities. And so this is part of what some people might call PSYOP. It's a war without bullets. And you get this kind of talking out there to the masses that to try to put into their minds that maybe the president is doing things or saying things that are not right. And you continue to pound away in this manner. And that's what this is all about. This has nothing to do with directly accusing the president of anything wrong, but it is to kind of, you might say, just poison the water, so to speak. And I think that's what's going on. And Pete Hegseth probably I know he understands that, because this is the kind of tactics that that many military officials say that they use to overthrow other nations, put into the minds of the people that things are bad or things that are being done that are wrong, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now they're using these tactics against President Trump. And
what do you say about the idea of troops disobeying what they call illegal orders? I'll give you an example. Trump's saying, hey, let's blow up these drug boats.
Mm-hmm.
However, you know what? War and mark and reprisal and all these other things are under the congressional delegated authority, not the president's. Without congressional support or action, President Trump doesn't have the authority to do that, even though it may be justified, even though it may be necessary. We can't violate the checks and balances. And I'm not siding with the Democrats on this one, but I am kind of saying at some point, the debate is illegal. When is it lawful to disobey orders? If they tell you to, you can't just run around and go, I'm just obeying orders. Okay. At some point, there's a line there. Are they exploiting it, or do you think that there's a real valid concern here?
Well, considering the circumstances, Sam, I don't think that they have a valid issue. Yes, it's true that there has to be a certain following of laws, et cetera. Congress has this responsibility, et cetera. But when was the last time? I'd love you to tell me, when was the last time that Congress has been exercising its responsibilities in a judicious manner?
No, they've been derelict in their duty for my whole life, and I'm almost 60 years old. So,
so
I'm telling you, it's been a while, buddy.
Yeah, they're endangering our country. And I agree.
And that's why I blame them, not Trump, for most of these mishaps. You can say, hey, Trump shouldn't be doing that, and I don't disagree. The problem is that unless somebody's going to do the job, at some point, the security of America does matter, right?
Yeah. And the health of Americans. If another country is sending over these harmful drugs into our country, and by the way, at least on average, during the Uncle Joe Biden administration, 100,000 Americans were dying from the very types of drugs that they're blowing out of the high seas. So I think that morally, the president is correct. And like you said, the Congress has not been doing its job, and so he's got to step out there and on behalf of the American people and do something to reduce these drugs that are being flooded into our country. And how dare people like Rand Paul and others speak more in favor, in my humble opinion, of these drug dealers than the president, who is doing his job to stop them.
I agree with the general point. What I would say, though, is that Rand Paul and me and you and everybody else, what we need to do is pin the tail on the donkey when it comes to Mike Johnson. And we need to say, Mike Johnson and the rest of you clowns, how come you're not doing your due diligence and responsibility? If we truly have serious intel that these boats are driven by drug cartels that are trying to bring illegal substances into the United States, destroy America, then, hey, Congress, it is your duty to put something in place to do something about it. And if you don't, I don't want the president acting by himself, because it's a violation of the checks and balances. But at the same time, the real violation is Congress not doing their job. So what do you say if we just fire all 465 of the House in 2026, all 435 of them? And then what if we go ahead and just say to the senators, 130, you clowns are gone unless you take serious action? President Trump's trying to do the right thing here. The media is handing him his head, playing games with all this, all true. The checks and balances do matter. But when you don't do your job, what do we do about that? See, the American people need to simply take action and say, we're calling a halt to this con game. Congress, you haven't been doing anything. This last 10 months, you've sat at home for 2+ months of it. And then all you've done is carried forward a Joe Biden budget, and that's all you've done? Okay, Trump gets credit on the border. Trump gets credit for a lot of things, or at least he should. The water's being muddied by Congress not standing up, right?
Exactly. And so I think that, if I were in the president's shoes, I'd be doing the same thing, because I would look at the bigger picture. The safety of the American people, the safety of our nation. And by the way, I'd be having more serious talks with Xi Jinping as well, because the fentanyl is manufactured in China, and they put the ingredients together in Venezuela and Mexico and all of that, and bring it into the United States. And so
now, if I were the president, I would be spending my time, rather than gallivanting around the world pretending you can solve every war that's got religious, realities that have been at it for thousands of years. You're not going to solve that. No. The ceasefire is not really a ceasefire. I hear they fire every day on the ceasefire. But anyway, what I'm saying is Trump needs to spend his time going, Mike, what on earth are you clowns doing over there, buddy? You guys hold the purse strings. The checks and balances require that you sit down with me at the table for this serious crisis. We got an invasion at the border going on, from drugs, from illegals. We're going to deal with this thing. It's time to sit down, gentlemen. And if I was the president, that's what I'd be doing.
But he's had those conversations. He's had those conversations not only with little Mikey, but with Thune and other individuals.
Yeah, but I'm saying you got to take the case to the American people, though.
He's done that too, but I don't know. The American people have to be more
educated.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say
we got to educate them, and that's why guys like you and me and everybody else can help the president with this initiative. Help the president lay out this case and this cause for people to understand. Mm-hmm. The Department of War is confirming the inquiry, saying investigators will determine whether Kelly violated these rules. Now, I would say this: Kelly probably did violate these rules. I think he has every right to his free speech. We have every right, though, to, in the public eye, set the record straight. And the record straight is that Congress isn't protecting our borders. Congress isn't protecting us from drug trade or any of these things. And Congress needs to get it done. In the meantime, I'm grateful for the president at least being willing to do something about it.
Yes.
I'll give you another example. Texas arrests illegal immigrants, truckers with licenses. I guess Cole Harrison with the story. And California's been issuing all kinds of CDLs, or driver's licenses, for big truck driving to these illegals, and now they're all getting arrested in Texas. Texas authorities have apprehended, they say, 31 illegal immigrant truckers in a single day, ladies and gentlemen. That's huge. California's, quote, sanctuary policies enable illegal immigrants to get commercial truckers' licenses. Unqualified drivers are causing deadly accidents on Americans' highways. Conservative leaders are fighting back to protect our nation's roadways. Well, again, this is something that you take to the American people. Congress, what are you doing about this? The illegal invasion is really a congressional discussion. And if California is awarding driver's licenses illegal to people, you've got to, they need to sit down with Newsom. They need to get serious and pull funding and say, you know what, you clowns aren't going to continue like this. We're not doing that. The national security of the nation's at stake, Ron.
Well, President Trump has a habit of going hard after his friends like Marjorie Taylor Greene and pretending to go hard against those who are bringing harm, like Governor Newsom and what's her name, the mayor of, I call her Smirk Face, Mayor Bass of Los Angeles. These people have, the governor of California licensing all these illegals, et cetera, causing harm, death, like you just said. And I think there needs to be some kind of, we need to figure out how to go after these people legally, because they need to be brought to heel, because what they're doing is causing a lot of harm in this country. So, something needs to be done.
Roger that. Hang tight. Ron Edwards with me, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
Let me just be full of solutions on your radio. Ron Edwards, my guest. When I say solutions, ladies and gentlemen, look, you got all these conservative, supposedly, senators and congressmen and president of the United States and all these different people, and they all go on all these liberal talk shows. Oh, they announced on CNN this. They went on Fox News that. And they went on The View in this. And they went on that. Why don't they start coming on hard-hitting conservative talk shows that are for real, that'll tell the tale of truth, that'll call to account, right? That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Texas authorities arrested 31 illegal truckers in a single day, ladies and gentlemen. You got California giving licenses to these illegals in the country so they can drive truck. Very, very, very dangerous. President Trump needs to take the case to the American people, okay? Kristi Noem, whoever, Tom Holman, okay, bring this to the American people. Come on all the conservative talk shows. Spend time elevating the conservative, real constitutional talk shows, the real newsmakers, and jettison these clowns that seem to control the narrative. The sooner you do that, the sooner we can make a real difference. This story, though, kind of adds fuel to the fire and to my point. Headline says, scientists issue ominous warning about mind-altering weapons that can control your perception, memory, and behavior. It's an article in the dailymail.co.uk today. Dr. Michael Crowley and Professor Malcolm Dambo, I guess it is, they're at Bradford University, and they're basically talking about this. Their scientific advances they highlight in their new book. These weapons have been researched by major countries, China, Russia, the United States, and they literally have these now neuroscience capabilities of creating powerful mind control weapons. They can sedate, confuse, or coerce by targeting the central nervous system, turning the human brain into what they call a battlefield. You kind of hinted at this a little earlier. You said it's a war, but it's not really a war. It's a psyop. Well, this fits that reality. The only known use of such weapon, they claim, is by Russia's security forces during the 2002 Moscow fiasco. Anyway, bottom line, though, is these weapons are real. And the UK newspaper, the Daily Mail, documenting the details right now. You've heard it. A lot of times people say it's conspiracy. It's seriously real, and it's dangerous. And you combine that with weather warfare. Mm-hmm. Oh, boy, Ron, we might be in for it, buddy.
Well, we already are in for it. In fact, I've talked to a weapons expert about this situation, had her on the show a few times, Amy Holm, and she was had been in the military for a good number of years, and she talked about how these kinds of weapons have been used against people. And I interviewed one of the victims as well of this type of behavior from the government. And of course, they tried to lock the woman up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But she did prove her case. She's here in Michigan, and she did prevent herself from being locked up, et cetera. But yeah, these things are, it kind of, when you were talking, it kind of reminded me of the movie Bourne Identity.
Yes.
And so people are, programmed to do certain things. And I believe it happens, and that it has happened, not just in Russia, but in this country.
Well, and you wonder how many of the shootings that we experience and how many of these kind of different things are that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For instance, do you remember the details about Robert Kennedy? Now, to this very day, Sirhan does not remember doing what he's accused of doing. He did it, but he does not remember, and they prove that he actually does not remember it. And I've been told, and I have read, that this was due to some kind of either chemical or some kind of manner in which they used to program him to do this. And the rest is history. But I'll never know 100% for sure, but like I said, I've read this and I've been told this, that that's just one case of this kind of mind control programming.
Well, and when we play games with the mind control programming, it's been going on since the 1950s in terms of documentation. I'm sure it went on before that, especially in World War II days and everything else. They created crank and crystal meth and all that kind of stuff to have these powerful, unstoppable warriors and these kind of things. They've had weather modification and weather warfare going on alongside this. They want you to believe that the Russians are the only ones that have used it, but I'm not so sure about that. This is where I think Trump needs to be candid and declassify and start releasing some of this information. To me, when you look at these psychotropic drugs that are involved and you look at, the medications people are getting, sometimes it's weight loss medication, sometimes it's depression medication, and you kind of wonder what is the repercussions of this. And then you see an example. There was a gentleman, a boy who was on some of these psychotropic drugs. He brought a gun to school. He was about to kill everybody, and they literally talked him out of it and stopped it. And then later he, and I don't have his name right now. I reported on this years ago, so I'm just doing this from memory. But he basically then, when he was talked to about it, he said, I didn't realize I was doing that. In fact, I don't even remember doing that. And they blame it on the psychotropic drugs that he was on. He was a good kid. He got talked out of it because I think he did have a conscience, but he was kind of on autopilot mode or drug-fueled mode, whatever you want to call it. And anyway, he went and testified before Congress talking about how disastrous these psychotropic drugs are and how dangerous they really are. And so we have evidence and we have testimony and we have information. How come no one's focusing on these issues? And now we see in the Daily Mail, they're literally saying, hey, they're developing this worldwide. All we need is an illegal trucker with one of these mind-altering. You ain't seen nothing yet in the carnage that can be created, Ron.
Well, this is one in amongst many things or methodologies that they're using to change society. they demoralized society, and it's a good thing that the gentleman that you brought up had a conscience. It's because obviously he had good parents or something like that, so they were able to reach him and talk him out of it. But in most cases where these people successfully carry out these dastardly deeds after being on these psychotropic drugs or whatever, they have a lack of moral upbringing in many cases. And so you don't even have that substance to be reached. And like I said, this is part of the effort to destroy our country from within, I believe. And what better way to change a society than to change how people even think, how they act, and just totally take them away from normal human behavior, void of moral barriers, not barriers, but what is it called? Yeah, I guess it is barriers that keep you from going too far in one direction or another. And so without these controlling factors, which brings about what? Personal responsibility. America was founded on the concept of liberty, but liberty is what? Freedom with responsibility. The psychotropic drugs and the lack of moral training, it's getting away from personal responsibility, turning people into either idiots or controlled robots to do the will of those who want to drastically change society into their warped image. They can do it through the food, they can do it through the water, and through drugs, drug intake or whatever. And so, we really need to get to the bottom of this stuff so that it can be brought to heel. Because if not, it's going to be, in a few years, it's going to be pretty bad. Because as more and more people are being brought online, born without good moral teachings, and you have more of the application of these type of drugs that you brought up, Sam, it's going to be a heap of hurt in this country.
You got to have God, family, and country at the top of our minds all the time, ladies and gentlemen. We need to start with loving our God and loving our neighbors as ourselves. And then those two great commandments, really all through the 10 commandments. The first 5 talking about God, the second 5 talking about we, the people. And we've got to have this taught everywhere in society. Yes. We've got to stop illegal activity. Congress has to step up to the plate. Nobody can make Congress step up to the plate but we, the people. And the way we do it is every 2 years we simply say, you're either going to deliver, you represent me. You're either going to deliver or you're gone. And we'll find somebody else to do it. And when it comes to news, we need the conservative leaders to really start to go to conservative talkers, not to these liberal clowns that seem to just, I don't know why they continue to go to that. You find out that Marjorie Taylor Greene, she should have broke her leaving Congress on the Ron Edwards Experience or on Liberty RoundTable Live or somewhere. She literally broke it on what? I mean, she went on The View and then, CNN and everybody else breaking it. Why are they going to those clown show sources, Ron?
Because they seem to be big and all that. But Sam, if you have time, I have a real quick idea on how we could deal with Congress and other. You
got to go fast though, because we're almost out of time to go.
In order to run for office, you have to pass a constitutional test. If you don't pass it, you're not eligible to run for office. If you do pass and you get elected, you don't operate according to those rules in the Constitution, you're out of there to be replaced and put on a special election to replace you. I think we need to bring these requirements. You have to have requirements for other jobs. And if you don't exercise those duties, you're fired. And I think Congress would be better served. We, the people, would be better served by such implications.
And the man famous for saying you're fired could take the lead, baby. He's got a window of opportunity now. Let's double down and deliver, shall we? Ron Edwards, ladies and gentlemen, well-known talk show host in his own right, does a phenomenal long-form show and a short-form commentary called The Edwards Notebook. You want to learn more, you want to get involved, theronedwards.com. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Sam Bushman. This is Liberty RoundTable Live, hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. It's all about God, family, and country. The protection of life, liberty, and property. Syndicated by Loving Liberty Networks. LovingLiberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.